All right, 5 tips to improve consecutive interpreting instantly. There are probably many more tips, but I'm super lazy tonight, so I'm just going to share 5. All right, and then we'll probably record a clip on different ones. So, tip number 1, this is actually something that I was introduced to by a colleague, and he said if there is simple information or factual information or something that you have to retain in your mind, just spit it out at the very beginning of your consecutive interpreting segment. It doesn't matter if it was at the end, it doesn't matter if it was in the middle, if it's short, or if it makes you think about something unnecessarily. Maybe it's a name, maybe it's a date, maybe it's a list. Just spit it out and be done with it. Of course, you have to frame it logically, Like, for example, somebody says that I was born in St. Petersburg and then moved to the United States, you can start with this. And then you're done with that little tidbit of factual information. So that's step number 1, or tip number 1. Tip number 2 is a lot of interpreters struggle with length, because if it's long, they consider that it's hard, and this is not necessarily the case. But my one tip, and if you haven't seen my Christmas tree spruce technique about consecutive interpreting, please watch it. But what you want to do is not necessarily memorize, is not necessarily think about how you're going to interpret it, but just understand, just understand what they're saying, because anything you truly understand and it becomes yours, you can easily narrate. And interpreting is just narrating in a different language. Like, could you tell me the plot of a favorite book or movie that you have seen or read? Of course. So all you have to do is make that long segment very well understood. I mean, I know it is easier said than done, but concentrate on understanding and building the plot in your mind. So far those 2 tips: spit out the factual information and understand. Okay, these are not necessarily in the order of importance. Next one, if you have lists going on, or like a list of things, items, people, names, this is when I would actually turn to note-taking. I'm not a big note-taker, not by any means. I probably take a lot less notes in consecutive than most people, but when it's lists of things, then I do. This is a favorite exercise I like to give. In fact, do this exercise right now if you want to. But go ahead and interpret for me this little segment. The decathlon in the Olympics is composed of the shot put, the javelin, the hammer throw, steeplechase, I believe. Maybe not steeplechase. Actually, no, not steeplechase. The 1500-meter run, the long jump, the high jump, the pole vault, the 400-meter run, the 100-meter run, and the 110 with hurdles. So if you're not taking notes, and if you're not familiar with track and field, this can be sort of daunting, right? So yeah, take notes if we're talking about lists. And sorry about the steeplechase. I confused it with hurdles. All right, next one. You know your limits of your own memory retention ability. And so basically control the flow of communication. If you know that a minute is as long as you can take, or 2 minutes, or half a minute, if you know that that's your current limit, then basically control the flow and butt in or start interpreting when you're reaching your limit. Because otherwise, you're not doing anybody a favor. If you just politely, quote unquote, allow the speaker to go on, then, But at the same time, this is balanced by the fact that you should train your memory retention, and you should be able to do 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and so on. So, but wherever it stands at the present, just control the flow of communication. And my last one is maybe my favorite one. Clear up or clarify or get the definitions of words or acronyms that you're unsure about fully or completely. Like, let's say the speaker says, we're obviously going to need NDAs. And sure, most people know what NDAs are, but if you don't, then just say, excuse me, what is NDA? And they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, it's non-disclosure agreement. We'll need contract signed for non-disclosure. Because these little in quotation marks, but such acronyms or such words actually trap your attention, and you no longer have your full gamut or your full warehouse of attention after this. So it is best to actually interrupt and ask right there and then, obviously depending on the context. Because if you wait till the end of the segment, you may not even remember what that term was, and the speaker may not remember. And if you ask them what that term was, then they may go on for another 2 minutes explaining something that you didn't care about. But right there and then say, what is gamut? What is, a harmonic in music? And ideally ask it in a way that they give you that exact definition and nothing more. And then you decide if you want to interpret that segment right there and then, or ask them to go till the end of the segment and so on. But that's a very practical tip. So once again, to run through these, take in the information in long segments without necessarily memorizing it or interpreting it in your mind. Spit out the factual facts, just to be a little bit tautological. Spit out the facts right away. Clarify the meanings of words. Use note-taking for lists and control the flow of your segments. Again, this is by no means a comprehensive or exhaustive list of advice or tips or tricks in consecutive interpreting, but it's just literally what came to mind, and I hope you can use it. All right, talk to you soon.